3, 2, 1. Servus, Grüezi, and welcome not to the best, now your favorite podcast with your favorite B-Boy host, your favorite break show. And my guest, this time all the way from beautiful Australia, but he is now in Austria.
That's right.
Yes.
Salzburg.
Representing Raw, representing Breaking Bad, and representing the Knuckleheads. Make some noise for Mr. Willastr8.
Thank you very much for having me, brother.
First of all,
Good to see you.
brother, thank you so much for taking your time to do this.
My pleasure.
Unfortunately, I don't know you long time. Is it personal or on your dancing in the videos? But since I saw you like maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and then I saw you live doing your shit, respect, brother. Respect for everything you do and everything you will do for the scene.
I appreciate you, bro.
Shoutouts to Bottega Prama. I am really happy and excited for the cooperation. Use the code GTV10 now to get your discount on your purchase and also become a patron now. And at the end of the month, you can win €100 for their online store. Yes, Bottega Prama, slow fashion, dancewear, streetwear, Be Pro, patented protection and culture. Be Pro patented protection is really crazy because Be Pro means be protected and it's an innovative under t-shirt that protects the points of the body at great risk of injury. Wrists, elbows, and for the first time in the world, the shoulders. How does Be Pro work? Our pads have a double function, they absorb shocks and at the same time return the thrust. It is worn like a normal thermal shirt and on top you put any dress you want and the protections are invisible. No loss of style, protection and total freedom of.
I mean, it goes both ways. I've seen you active in the scene for a long time. I know that, you're a b-boy first. You know what
Always,
I'm saying?
always.
And you have the right approach to the culture, the respect for the history of the game,
Thank you, bro. Thank
and the art form as a whole. And I can just see how you express your passion through everything that you do within the community, whether it's breaking or
you.
emceeing. And so yeah, the respect
Thank you,
goes
bro.
both ways.
I,
Much
I
love to
also appreciate it.
you. Yeah.
So, first time that I saw you, bro, you know
Hmm.
when it was? When the video came from Pak Pak where he got all his stuff.
This video, I think that was maybe almost 10 years ago now.
Almost 10 even, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Almost 10 even.
Because
Um,
I've been living in Europe for a little over 4 years,
mhm.
and I feel like it was a significant amount of time before that. So maybe 2017. I can't remember.
So I'm a big believer that two-person can have the same idea and
I
they're
agree.
not living in the same city or country.
Hmm.
you know so it's always like this topic is a little harsh.
Sure.
May I ask your opinion after you saw that video dropping, because I don't think that you cut it and posted, right?
Well, I mean, I have to be 100% honest. And I've said this to a lot of people. I did make that video, and
Ah,
if
you
I
did,
had my
you
money,
made it.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'm being honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
honesty is imperative. It's something to be. I mean, I'm significantly older now, and I mean, I'm going to be 42 in a week. So I've my I guess my outlook on life, not just breaking, has changed significantly in that time frame. Um, I actually feel bad about what happened, if I'm being really honest, and
Okay.
I've since apologized to Pac Pac for what happened. Now, look, when we're talking about my philosophy as a b-boy, I have very rigid standards that I try to uphold, and I try to be as diligent and as honest as I possibly can be in staying true to who I am as an artist. But outside of that, you know what I mean? Like, life is life, and when we're talking about breaking, it's not life or death. And when that video went out, you know what I mean, it certainly wasn't my intention to see it go viral the way that it did. And there is a significant backstory, and I can provide you some of the details just so
Hmm.
there's context, if you like.
Hmm.
Because I mean, if you want, I can explain how it got to that
Oh,
point.
yes, please.
Yeah, if you have the time.
Oh,
So I mean, around that time, whenever it was, let's just say for argument's sake, 2017, I wasn't even on social media. I think the only social media account I had was Facebook, and even then, I barely used it. I just had Messenger. So I wasn't really paying attention to um, trends on social media in terms of, how we get exposed to a lot of content nowadays. I mean, back then it wasn't as um, ubiquitous. It wasn't as significant as what it is now. But I wasn't dialed into the international breaking scene. Like I had an idea of who was winning battles and all the rest of it, but I've never really been one to watch too much footage because I feel like as an artist, if you're observing too much of what other people are doing, it can actually cloud your own creative processes in your mind and your imagination. And so that's something which I still look. Don't get it twisted. I watch breaking footage, but I try to avoid watching too much of other people dancing. If I want to get an inspiration, I'll go and practice with these people. Like when I first came out to Europe, I spent time training with some of the guys from the Ruggeds, like Dusk, for example. I went to Menno's studio. People who inspire me, people who I think are really artistic. I want to spend time with them in person. But I was never really one to watch a lot of footage. And Pac Pac's starting to blow up around this time, and I've got people sending me videos of him. You see, like, oh, Will, he's doing this move, he's doing that move. There's a lot of similarities there. And to be honest, I genuinely thought it was a coincidence because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't have a particularly big name, internationally at that time. How would he, like, there's footage of me online, but how would he come across it? So I didn't really pay it a lot of mind. I mean, you have pride and you also have your ego. You know what I'm saying? And there's a bit of arrogance there as well. And it's like, oh man, I've been doing these moves longer than him anyway. But there's this, I don't know, like I'm conflicted. It's like, oh, it's probably a coincidence, but man, like I'm not getting the credit I feel like I'm due because I'm probably 20 years older than him. So I'm constantly kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
myself. Anyway, so some time goes by, and I ended up for work going to Europe for this conference, job completely unrelated to breaking. And Bruce Wayne and I are quite close.
Oh, total feeling.
From Total Feeling, yeah, he actually came to my wedding, and he lived in Australia for some
Oh,
time.
nice.
And when I was in Paris, was staying near him, and I trained with him a little bit. And he brought me to a training spot in Paris, and I met a guy from Bad Trip crew there, who is obviously from Pac Pac's crew, and he said that he had met me in Australia. And so I'm starting to think, oh, maybe he. And look, this is just my imagination, right? And I don't think it's accurate, but I begin to think, oh, maybe that's how he stumbled across my footage, and I don't think that's accurate. But at the time, perhaps
Of
I was
course.
a little immature. So this is what starts to play out in my mind. Anyway, I come back to Australia. Long story short, I end up going to this jam, a local jam in Melbourne, and I was judging it from memory with Poe and a local cat from that city. And one of my close friends in the breaking scene, a b-boy called Johnny Yayo. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's in a legendary crew called Fresh Socks from Australia. He's also in Mighty Zulu Kings. Doesn't
Ah,
break as much
nice.
as he used to, but he's still heavily involved in the scene with events. He's doing some stuff with Breaking for Gold, blah, blah, blah. He at that time had snapped his ACL, so he had a serious injury, so he wasn't breaking. But he would show up to the jams because he was all about the community. And this guy in one of the battles did a move that was pretty similar to his, one of his trademarks. And he like limps out into the middle of the circle and starts throwing the bite sign, and he's getting all wound up. And I thought it was pretty funny. And then there's a break at the jam. We go outside, and he's smoking whatever. And he comes outside. He's, man, these dudes biting my moves. And he shows me a video that someone else had made of B-boys in Australia doing very similar moves to him, or internationally, right? So it'd be like footage of him doing like transition or whatever, and then someone else doing something really similar, back and forth and back and forth. And I remember saying to him, "Oh, bro, there's this guy in France who's doing, in some instances, like identical signatures. You see?" And I said, "I'll go home and I'll put something together really quickly and I'll send it to you." And so that's kind of how it happened. Now, one piece of information that I failed to include was that I actually messaged Pac Pac. Um,
Mm.
I think maybe after I'd gotten back from my timeline is a little bit off, but I reached out to him and I sent him some footage, and this is why I feel bad because I actually spoke to the dude. And this is why I feel like it was a bit of a bitch move on my part to make that video. And this is, I think I'll always have some level of regret
Okay,
what
okay.
happened, you know. And he explained to me that it was a coincidence, and Um, you know, he hadn't taken the moves and all the rest of it. And he can do whatever he wants, right? We
At
live
the
in a
end
free
of the
country,
day,
right? Like, who am I to
Mhm,
tell him, oh, this is what you should be doing, or that?
mhm.
And I said, look, it's totally fine. And then about 2 weeks later or so, I saw footage of him at hip hop session because Po One um, told me about the Seven to Smoke that happened that year because Bruce Wayne won it. He was like, yo, we'll check out the hip hop session Seven to Smoke. Bruce ripped it. Pac Pac was in the lineup. So I watched the battle, and Pac Pac's still doing the moves, right? And he's doing some other similar things as well. And again, it's probably just a total coincidence. So this is where my ego starts to swirl a little bit, and one thing led to another, and then went to this jam in Australia, blah blah blah. Make the video, and then I send it to not only Johnny, my homie, but I think I sent it to him, but I sent it to a bunch of other guys in my crew. And before too long, they're putting it up on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, Twitter. I don't know, but I didn't have social media at that time, so I couldn't tell just how much it had gone viral.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And this is where I feel bad. I could have put a stop to it. I could have said to the guys, take it down, you know what
Yes,
I
yes,
mean?
yes, yes, yes.
But a part of me was thinking, let's just see what happens.
Yes, 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 yes.
And so that's why I feel pretty terrible because it went viral pretty quickly. And then, dudes are just like, people are just slamming
Mhm.
backpack, right? Like he's
But
just a kid at the
you know how
time.
the internet is when there are so many
Exactly.
haters, and when somebody is blowing up like he is, then the haters just waiting to
They
have
want to tear
something.
him down, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how it all happened. And in
Mhm.
the end, I felt so. Look, on the one hand, I believe in the importance of individuality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one thing that I was taught as a b-boy is that if you if you believe that you've created something, but actually you discover that there was someone that came before you know what I mean, and had a particular idea, and they kind of laid the platform for that shape or what have you. You have a responsibility to change it. You know,
Mhm.
that's how I was raised as a
Yeah.
b-boy.
Yeah.
That's something that stays with me to this day. Like
Well,
there's another move that I have that Lucy Sky does, right?
yeah.
Exactly the same. Like just the shape, the
Mhm.
transition, the like, and the thing is we have to look beyond just an individual move. You know what I mean? It's the global picture, it's the movement, it's how you articulate yourself. It's
How you go into the move, how you
exactly.
go out of the move.
And I've been called a biter a bunch of times for doing this move, and Lucy Sky's been called a biter, and blah blah blah. And from what I learned is that there was a Ukrainian b-boy in like 1998 who was doing
Holy
that
shit.
exact same move, right? So even if I did it before Lucy, and I don't know if I did, right?
Mhm.
Because we've talked about it. We like, we're homies. Like we get along very well. I've got a lot of respect for that
Mhm.
brother. You know what I mean? Like, um, I can't claim that I came up with just that individual shape, even though I had never seen anyone do it. You know what I mean? So once I learnt that, I think it was Intact or Robin that told me about this guy. His name, it sounds like Castet, but it's a little bit different. A
Mhm.
Ukrainian cat. I was like, okay, well I have to flip it now, and that's something which is always playing in my mind. So going back to the whole Pack story, it's like, look, regardless of how I feel as an artist about the importance of having your own blueprint, it's just breaking. And people harm themselves over social media bullying. People will commit
Oh, this
suicide.
is
So this is where I felt terrible.
horrible. Yeah, yeah.
And one night I was kind of drunk, and I don't drink anymore, but at this time I was consuming a bit too much alcohol, and I messaged him, and I apologized, and he was like, it's okay, just tell me who made that video so I can kill him. And I would feel the same way, and I couldn't lie. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't lie to him, and I said, "Look, I was really apologetic," and he said it was okay, but I don't know how he feels,
Yeah,
and um, at the end of the day, like he's a human being, and he has a soul, and
of
he's made
course,
in
of
God's
course,
image like the rest
of
of
course.
us, and I think he's a dope b-boy,
Yeah,
and
100%,
I wish nothing but the best for him in
100%.
his life. And I've never met him. I've never spoken to him in person.
Yeah.
Before I came to Europe, I said, "Look, I'm living here. I might cross paths with you, and if we do, like, it's nothing but respect." And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
look, I don't know how he feels, but from my end, you know what I mean. Like, I do have some regret,
Mhm.
and I feel some guilt for what happened.
Well,
But on the flip side, I still have my standards as a b-boy. You know
of
what I
course,
mean?
you need to stand up for yourself, right? And
Yes.
also shout outs to you for that you can see that you made a mistake and it was not okay, and uh, you can be a man and say, "Hey, I make a mistake. It was my fault, and let's move on." So shout outs to you for even seeing that, you know. And like you say, like you explained now, people can come up with the same shit, you know? It's just how you say this is how our culture is built by originality.
Yes.
So if you do the same thing, like you say, flip it. There is so many ways to flip things. If you don't flip it, you're just lazy. You're not
Yes,
creative.
I agree.
And
And
this
that's
kills
something
the
that
scene then.
I will never shy away from it, you know, like in terms of my breaking religion. Like it's one of the top commandments for me is to be yourself, you know what I mean? And more so than
Everyone else is
anything,
taken, right? Yeah.
right? Like who would you rather be apart from how you've been made, how you've been
Yeah,
created?
yeah.
And I think it's one of the most
100%.
powerful the, the, the most powerful power move that we have is the ability to express our true identity.
100%. 100%. Um, Before the Olympics, people didn't really talk about Australian breaking, right? So, I mean,
Depends on, I mean, depends
not
on what
like
you mean
after,
about
let's say it like
talking
this,
about, you
not
know,
like after the Olympics.
because
Okay?
we've had b-boys representing at an international
Yes,
level,
that's
not, you know,
why
not to the same extent as Japan or
of
Russia,
course, that's
obviously,
why I
you know.
wanted to say it differently, right? But what I want to ask is, does Australia has have a big history in breaking?
Absolutely it does,
When
100%.
do you personally know when breaking came to Australia?
I don't look. I should have a better understanding of the history, but it was. I would. I'm happy to be corrected on this. Okay, so this is not something that I'm going to stake my reputation on, but I would imagine mid 70s. Okay,
Mid
now
seven. Okay,
mid
okay.
to late 70s because um, there were definitely b-boys um, in the breaking in Australia in the 80s without
Yes,
question.
yes.
Now the pioneers, if you like, for Australian breaking on the international scene were the twins from the B-Boy All-Stars,
Okay.
B-Boy Exit and B-Boy C's, twin
Mhm.
brothers, also from a crew called Rapid Fire.
Rapid
And
fire. I
they,
heard about rapid fire. Yes.
yes, so the All-Stars, and they were breaking, again, I don't want to make a mistake here, and one of them could easily correct me, but my understanding is that they were breaking in the late 80s through to the 90s, and they became renowned for their power moves, in particular their form. So their technique and their form in their power was beautiful, like
Mhm.
immaculate. And you
Mhm.
can ask, like, for example, Ivan and even
Mhm.
Storm. Okay, but especially Ivan about the twins. Cross One, he's referenced them before because they spent some time, if I'm not mistaken, in Los Angeles. Okay, where they met the
Mm.
likes of Ivan and maybe some of the other guys from I don't know if it was Style Elements or some other like Orko, for example. I'm not entirely sure, so I have to brush up on my history.
Mhm.
Uh, but to answer your question, breaking in Australia has a rich history
Mhm.
without question.
And when
Just like hip hop in general, especially the graph scene.
so do you
So
remember was graffiti was graffiti the first element that you saw from hip hop culture?
me personally,
Yes.
that I saw.
Yes, was this your first
Well,
exposure to hip
my
hop
first
culture?
exposure to hip hop culture was the music.
Music, okay.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
remember what type of what songs maybe or which
The
artists?
Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys, nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was listening to the Beastie Boys when they were a punk rock band.
So what we talking now? Beginning of 90s?
So I'm almost 42. I started breaking when I was 16, and I
Mhm.
was into hip hop from around the age of maybe 13,
Mhm.
14.
Mhm.
And my sister at the time and some of my closest friends were hip hop heads. And so I actually, when I was about 12 or 13, was listening to a lot of metal, punk rock, Guns N' Roses in particular. Loved Guns N' Roses.
You grew your hair out?
Um,
Yeah.
no, I couldn't have grown my hair out even if I tried. You know, I was skating, I was surfing a lot,
Nice. So
and then
already you were already doing a lot of sports, were
oh, I
athletic.
was very active, yeah. But I wasn't very. I mean, I love to surf, I love to bodyboard. I played a lot of rugby. I love to skate. I love to BMX, but I
Mhm.
sucked. I wasn't very good at any of these things until I found breaking, and I
Okay.
realized that, you know, maybe this was something that I could do
So
well.
how did you what was your first exposure to breaking?
Yeah, so I mean, I got into hip hop first. I kind of just listening to the Beastie Boys. They started making hip hop. You know, they They collaborated with a lot of incredible hip hop artists like Tribe Called Quest, Q-Tip, Ill Communication. I think was one of the first albums from them that I purchased, and it's a classic,
Mm,
right?
nice.
They had I mean, Mixmaster Mike, the DJ, was highly regarded as I think one of the DMC champs for his era, and they made a lot of classics. They had an instrumental album called was Jazz In Sounds from the Way Out. So that was my initial exposure to hip hop, and then friends of mine they introduced me to Gangsta, Nas, Big
Nice.
L.
Nice.
I mean, this was the golden era.
Of
You know what
course.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so I think I was just exposed to breaking maybe through watching video clips. It's like that, for example,
Yeah,
the classic video clip with Cujo, and I think
of
Orko
course.
was in there. Asia One from memory was in that video clip as well. And my best friend, still to this day, a guy called Ryan Stewart that I grew up with, playing sport, listening to music, causing trouble. He went to a performing arts high school, and he learned some maneuvers, right? He was a big hip hop head. He learned how to windmill and six step and so forth. And I remember one night we were at his brother's bakery where he was working, and we were helping close up the joint. And he was like, "Yo, Will, check this out." He did like a coin drop or something, and I was blown away. I was like, "Man, you got to teach me that." So that was my first exposure to breaking. My best friend.
That's so crazy. This
Yeah,
moment, he was just doing it spontaneously, you know?
spontaneously.
He was
Yeah.
just like, "Hey,
And
Will, check this out."
we were having fights with baguettes, like you're throwing bread at each other, just being kids, being stupid. And then fast forward maybe a month or so, there's a breaking jam. This is in Sydney, where I grew up. There's a breaking jam in a park, a bit like Central Park. It's in the middle of the city. It's called Hyde Park, and there were b-boys there. There was just an open cipher, open
Mhm.
jam, no battles, just people getting down. A bit like the classic, Rocksteady anniversaries. And, one of the B-boys from the Twins was there. A hip hopper from Sydney called Mystery, who's a legendary graph writer, but also MC, B-boy. And I was just watching these guys getting down, and, they're wearing their Kangol bucket hats and the three-striped tracksuits, shell toes, names on their badges. And I'm thinking, man, these guys are the freshest dudes I've
The
ever seen in my
coolest
entire life,
guys.
right? I want to be a part of this. I want to be one of those guys. He's like a gangster to me. You know what I mean? But like in a good way. Like without any negative kind of undertones. And so that's what I idolized at the time. So I remember going home from that jam, and I just started practicing like a madman. I was like, man,
But
I'm
what
I'm
did
not
you
very good at
practice?
surfing. I'm not very
What
good at BMX, but I
what
can be
did
good at this.
what did you practice?
I have no idea. Uh, we would like go on to my friend and I in my basement in my home. Um, well, one of the first things I got, what we got were just cardboard boxes from the local supermarket that we just
100%. This is
flattened.
how I
You
started. We
know?
take it from the trash. We took the
Yeah, from the
cardboard.
trash from behind supermarkets. So we used cardboard at first, and then my sister bought me a lino for my birthday. It was one of the greatest gifts that I've
Wow.
ever received. And we would just go onto like bboy.net or breakdance.com and print off, tutorials or instructions for moves. And I felt like I was playing Twister, because he'd be sitting on the chair like, okay, move your right hand under your left leg. Now move
Yeah,
your
yeah.
right foot. I'm
I
like
heard about this page, bboy.org or something.
.net,
But
I think, or
oh,
.org.
yes, and
This is around like 99, so the
yes,
internet's like
yes.
only just getting going around this
Because
time.
I started in 2000 and I started going online like 2003, 3-ish. So I never heard about this, but
This was
so
like the
many.
style to oof era as well. Remember
Yes,
that phrase?
my was B-Boy World and Still the Oof.
Steel to oof, yeah.
This is my era. When
Yeah.
B-Boy World new footage section, then you click
Yeah.
it, then you make
B-Boy
target
World
save.
came around like 2003 or 4, I think. So
Ah,
a
I
little bit
see, I
later, yeah.
see, I see.
But so yeah, that was it. We were self-taught. We didn't know what we
Mhm.
were doing.
And
And I had a couple.
what was your moment when you was what was the moment when you thought I'm gonna be B-Boy forever? Was it a move? Was it a battle? Was it a event?
I don't know if there was one particular moment, but I was getting better. I mean, if I saw footage of myself back then today, I'd be embarrassed, but at least I
Everyone
felt
is.
like I was getting good at it. One of the first, so I managed to get a few tapes because we had VHS tapes back then. This is even
The
before
best time, brother.
DVDs, you know.
The best time.
And I had the B-Boy Summit. Um, I had the B-Boy Summit 2000 tape. I
Hmm.
think I had 97 or 96. John Korean Rocks posted a lot of footage from that event. And I also had Battle of the Year 2000, Flying Steps versus Wasita Breakers.
This is my first I watched
Yeah.
Battle of the Year 2000.
So Battle of the Year 2000, I watched that final battle between those two crews over and over and over again, and I was heavily inspired by Wasita, but also Amigo from Flying Steps, Vatan to a lesser extent. I was heavily inspired watching B-Boy Summit, Rudy Rex from Havakoro, for
Mhm.
example, Little Rock. I remember like some of the Lotus maneuvers that I do, like
Yes.
some him and Boo Rock. Like I got ideas from them. And
Mm.
I can go on and on and on,
Yes,
right?
of course.
Watching K Mel battle everybody at B-Boy Summit 99, and him and Megas, you know, that footage heavily inspired me,
Mhm.
especially like Megas with his footwork text, but just, you know, the approach that K Mel had, like he showed up to B-Boy Summit 99 and just called out Ivan, he called out everybody, you know, and so that kind of revealed to me, you know, what it meant to be a battle cat, you know, like the importance of testing your skills. So yeah, there's so many dancers that I could. I mean, I'm only scratching the surface, you see, but there's
Mhm.
so many b-boys that I can point to and say, okay, he inspired me here. And
Mhm.
to this day, you know, like there's a lot of dancers that continue to inspire me. I mean,
Mhm.
one of my
Mhm.
biggest inspirations today is Thesis. You
Mhm.
know, he continues to push the boundaries
I
of
mean, this
racing.
is when he was like 18, 19, he was unbeatable.
Oh, he was a monster,
And
even
nobody could
younger.
touch him.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So yeah, you know,
That's crazy. That's
it's a
crazy.
long-winded journey that I've enjoyed, and you know,
Mhm.
I think it's very important also to give credit to the people that inspired you at that
Of
particular
course.
time.
Of course. So Sydney was always the hotspot for breaking in Australia?
Um, it was a hotspot, you know.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah, so
what's
I
some
grew up.
others?
So I mean, the East Coast in particular, but when I was really young, there were a lot of dope b-boys from the West, Perth in
Mhm.
particular. So a crew called Systematic, who was led by a b-boy that I have the utmost respect for, called Benny Benz. Um, and these guys would go at it routinely with a famous crew from Melbourne called Wicked Force, you know, and they would always battle at
Wicked
Battle of
Force.
the Year.
Yeah, I heard of Wicked
Yeah.
Force too.
So some of the guys from Wicked Force were also in Rapid Fire crew and had, you know, close connections
Mm, I
with the All
see.
Stars. So, but Sydney, in terms of numbers, um, I mean, right now it's probably a little bit different. I haven't been in Australia for over 4 years, so I couldn't really tell you, you know. But at least growing, like when I was younger, you know, Sydney probably had the most events.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, the dominant crews when I was younger came from Melbourne and Perth. You know, Perth nowadays is really quiet. Pepito is still out there.
Hmm.
He's still doing his thing.
Hmm.
You know, and Perth um, is the home of
Hmm.
some historically incredible
Hmm.
b-boys in Australia. Ippy is another one. There's a few others that I could name,
Hmm.
but nowadays I think Sydney is really the hot spot. But
Okay.
also further up north, so like Brisbane, the Gold Coast, so
Hmm.
Queensland, there's
Hmm.
some strong crews up there. So you know, J Attack, he's from further up north. You
Ah,
know,
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, he's very
and then
fresh. I did a
some of these
podcast with
younger
him
kids.
too. I did a
Yeah,
podcast with him too. He's
with him
very,
or his mum.
no, with him, actually, with him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, Australia is it's I think it's um, there's so much potential there, but you know,
Hmm.
it's always going to be difficult for Australia because of just geographically speaking,
I mean,
you
you're
know,
so far out,
far
right?
away, you know.
Yeah.
So people, you know, b-boys aren't the wealthiest individuals on the planet, so it's hard to travel and build up a
Yeah,
network.
the
So
Munir likes to call us broke boys. Uh,
there's some truth to that, you know.
100%,
You know?
100%. So I know I forgot how the jam is called, but I don't know if it's still running the jam. But every year they invited some international crews, and I remember specifically there were Koreans there.
Destructive
Maximum
steps.
Crew, Maximum Crew came one time.
Yeah, I think it was probably destructive steps. I think.
Maybe this one.
Yeah.
So except this battle, did you have any other big jams or battles that came regularly in Australia?
So one in particular, and it's kind of really etched into the history of Australian breaking, is
Nice.
the Australian B-Boy Championships.
Australian B-Boy Championships, ABC.
Yes. Yeah, ABC pretty much, or Oz Breaking Champs, Oz B-Boy, B-Girl
Hmm, hmm.
Championships, and that
Nice.
was run by a guy called Scotty Doo,
Hmm.
or Scott Durock, and he's still semi-active to this day. I mean, he's still kind of, participating in the scene, but he stopped running that event like well over 10 years ago,
Okay,
and
okay.
and that event was incredible because he would also host block parties with exhibitions. So he brought like Alien
Mm.
Ness out one year. Or I think maybe Ness might have already been living in Australia. He was traveling through, but he had Iron Monkey battled Ness from memory. No,
Nice.
no, excuse me. No, Katsu One battled Ness. Iron Monkey battled Isop from Japan. He brought out some guys from Massive Monkeys. I think Domes, Juice Boogie came out. He spent a lot of time traveling, building
Mm.
relationships and connections. He brought out Ken Swift, um, hosted a qualifier for UK B-Boy champs. The
Mm.
winners got to battle overseas, so that was massive. So yeah, I have to give a lot of
So this was the
credit to
place to
Scott.
be.
Yeah,
Every
this is
B-boy and B-girl from Australia came to his events?
was probably at that time it was the biggest event, in terms of Australian crews coming through, but also international guests.
Yes.
So got to give a lot of credit to Scotty. I mean, he was really active kind of in the early 2000s, 2004, 5,
Hmm, hmm.
6-ish. Again, my timeline might be a little bit off. Then Shadow Wars came through. So Shadow Wars, Mason Rose was heavily involved in Shadow Wars. Do you know,
Okay.
do you know Mason?
Mason Ross, the photographer,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. So he's Australian. He
Ah, I
lives in
see.
Los Angeles nowadays, but at that time he was running an event called Shadow Wars with a
Nice.
few other guys. One in particular, a b-boy called Rush, and that event was legendary as well. A lot of international guests.
Mm.
Milky from Mine 180 came out to the second one, I think. Kid David, a bunch of other like when the Red Bull BC1 All Stars was just getting formed. They had Roxray, Lilu, I think Hong. Physics might have come out, even though he wasn't an all-star,
Hmm,
and it goes on and on and
hmm.
on, right? So this was really significant. These events in particular were really significant for Australians because it was
And
the first time that we were exposed to, um,
to international.
guys that we were used to just watching
Hmm.
on video.
And you told me your original crew is the Raw crew, right?
Real artwork, yeah, that's right.
And you also participated with your crew in these battles?
We Shadow Wars, we won it twice,
Nice.
I think. Did we win it twice? Jeez, I'm getting old and becoming
Oh,
forgetful.
what was
No,
it a crew? Was it a crew
yeah,
battle?
it was a full crew battle. Um, Let me think. Did we win it twice or just once? No, I'm certain we won it twice.
So
And
you had the big rivalry against other
oh, we had
crews?
a lot of rivalries. Yeah, yeah. And I made up rivalries in my head. You know, like I would convince myself that
Ah, well.
b-boys from Sydney or wherever were talking about me and saying I was really great. Like I would just make it up in my head, or even like I would battle guys and we'd shake hands afterward, and then I'd think, man, what did he just say? He didn't say anything. He gave me a pat on the back, but for whatever reason, I found that offensive. So then, this happened a few times. I would follow these guys after the battle before they've even announced the winners. So it's not like I'm mad that we lost because, I don't know who won or lost. And I'd be like, yo, let's go rounds. And I'd sometimes call these guys out in front of their entire crew because I loved like just being abused by these dudes. Like, oh man, you crashed, whatever. Like, I just wanted to be like on my own. Yeah, I've got a lot of stories about some stupid stuff that I would do.
Please
You know,
tell us
like
one. The first one that comes in your head.
the first one that comes into my head was the Sydney. I think it was the Sydney Music Festival. This is
Mhm.
about 2006. Um, it was a crew battle, but it was also part of a massive event, right, where they had live acts and all the rest of it. And the prelims were earlier in the day in Hyde Park, ironically, which is where I saw Breaking in Australia live for the first time, um, except for my friend who exposed it to me. And we qualified, and then we got to the final, and the final was later that night on the main stage in the middle of the city in front of like I don't know how many people, like thousands upon thousands of people. It's a massive concert, right? And Po One, who's he's living in Europe now, but he had just moved to Australia before moving to Europe. these days he was living in Australia for maybe 15 years,
Okay.
And Poe, for whatever reason, was in Sydney at that time, and he joined this crew called Juice Crew, just for that battle with another non-Juice Crew member called Rush, who I mentioned earlier. And he's, Poe's like, he was young back then. He's still dope, but like he was still battling at that time. And this cat called Rush was super dope. And I remember I was pissed off that they had those guys, because I'm thinking, man, like, you're not going to win without him, right? And maybe they would have, but this is just the idea that I had in my head. So, and these guys, when we, like, I'm super cool with all of them. Even like one of them is now in our crew, but they were loud when they battled, they would like yell at you, I was probably louder, but I'm thinking, man, they're being disrespectful. And I did my round and I was just yapping and carrying on, and the battle ends. And I walked out into the middle of the stage and I'm trying to keep it going. And the announcer's like trying to push me off the stage. And there's footage of this somewhere. And I'm like pushing guys like to try and keep us battling. And, they've got a schedule to keep. We ended up losing. But before they'd even announced the winner, so one crew went off to one side of the stage and, we went off on the other. I followed Juice Crew and they walked down to their hotel, right? And my wife calls me, who I'm dating at the time, and I'm like furious, and I pick up the phone, oh, hello, how are you? I'm just kind of busy. Hang up, get mad again, follow these guys to the hotel. They go down they have to take this really long escalator into the lobby. And one of the guys from their crew turns around, he's like, what are you doing? Why are you following us? I was like, I'm going to call you guys out right now. So we ended up battling in the lobby, and I called out like 3 of them. And then only then was I satisfied that, I'd properly gone rounds. There was another one, Red Bull BC1 2017, because this year Pac won the French qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2017, and I really wanted to win the Australian one so I could go and, just battle him and get it over and done with in Europe. Ended up coming second, and the next day was a 3-on-3. And I remember after the final, I just wanted to relax a bit, like you've been battling all day, like 10 hours, and you just want to kind of let your hair down. And this B girl, well, she wasn't local, she's freaking Romanian, so she's got a bit of character, you see. She was following me after the event, like, oh, do you really think you lost? How do you think you went, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know, I don't really care, I don't want to talk about it. And then we ended up going to this bar, and she looks online and she can see that her crew the next day in the 3-on-3 is battling my Raw crew in the prelims. And she starts running her mouth like, man, you're going to get smoked. We're going to freaking roast you boys. I'm thinking, okay, all right. And then, I go home the next day and she's just talking. I'm having a bit of fun. And I remember they call us up for the prelim, and I'm walking up and I see her and I'm like, I remember everything you said to me last night. And I can hear her voice in my head, we're going to smoke you. So before the music even starts, I walk out to battle, and I start just abusing all of them. I'm like, you're dead. You're all going down. You know what I mean? Like I was out of control back then. And I'm doing my round and I'm still talking. And she's telling me to be quiet. And she had a good point. I was carrying on like a madman. And instead of coming out, she sends out this young kid who I think it was like the first time for him to ever battle in a competition. And he gets me, and he's I don't know, he's not having a good day. And he's crashing and he's falling in front of me, and I'm just letting him know. I'm pointing to the door. I'm like, you should have left half an hour ago. I'm being a complete asshole, you know what I mean? I'm not proud of this behavior, but it's funny now. And then I finally snap out of it, right? And the battle ends, and I'm thinking, should I try and shake their hands? Because I was being a bit of a dick, let's be honest. Like I can look back and think, man, I was kind of out of control. So I walked to the middle, and the young guy that I was getting stuck into, I put my hand out, right? And he goes like this.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. So I followed him, you see. I followed him out of the circle, and then people start to see what's going on. So I just stand kind of like in the middle of the basketball court, and he stands in front of me, and then a battle gets going. But a whole circle like forms around us, and people, ah! And it was so loud that the MC came over and said, guys, we cannot, like the guys in the prelims can't hear what's going on. Can you be quiet? And then some guy was like, man, there's a real battle. You should MC this. And it got so crazy heated, you know what I mean, that it was funny. Some other guys from my crew joined in, and it was just like this.
But that's some real shit, bro. This is some real
And then the battle ended because another guy that jumped in. I did one of my signatures, and he comes in and starts calling me a biter. So the whole circle just collapses, and people are pushing him and carrying on. And I just cracked
That
up. I was like,
that's crazy. That's crazy. That's
yeah. And then apparently the kid that I battled left the event, and someone found him behind the venue in a back alley crying, and that's where I felt bad. you know. So I found him at the after party later that night because during the battles during that day, he saw how I behaved. I
yes,
was
yes,
a bit of
yes,
a
yes.
madman. I put
I
my
mean,
arm around him.
it's that's when you're battling and you go and you battle grown people as a kid and as a woman, in my opinion, I always like to say, like, in the battle, everything is allowed, right? But of course, there is a limit. I would never make fun of Samuka because he has one leg.
No,
You know
no,
what I
no,
mean?
of course.
I
Or
would
talk about
never,
someone's
I
family member
would,
or
yes,
something.
I would never call a woman a bitch or anything.
Exactly.
So there is lines,
There are lines, and
but
I would see how close I could get to that
yes,
line.
but if you expose yourself, if you go and battle a grown man, a professional, then you have to expect also a different outcome.
Yeah.
I don't say this the correct outcome, but
Yeah, and look, this was at a time in my life where I had perhaps less self-control
Mhm,
and some difficulty in regulating my emotions. And I remember like when I found someone came up to me like, "Man, Will, like you really smashed this guy." And I remember I found him at the after party. I put my arm around him. I said, "Look, I apologize for what happened
mhm,
today. There's a reason why I was behaving like that, but let's not get into it. Let me buy you a drink." And to this day, we're friends. He would come to Melbourne. We would practice together,
mhm,
and I saw him at a jam before I left for Europe during the pandemic,
mhm.
and I was judging. It was a
Yeah.
cipher qualifier, and he came up to me. He called me out. You know,
People can't
so
forget the whole battling thing. It doesn't come from a nice place.
no,
You
no,
know,
no,
you battle each other because you want to make your opponent look whack and
exactly.
and make him look stupid and make him look like an amateur, like a loser.
Yeah, and I always had this idea that these guys are trying to humiliate me. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to make me look like a bitch.
Yeah,
So
and
it's a form of self-defense.
yeah. So I'm always like, it's for me a little hard to listen to people when they talk about, yeah, you have to battle friendly, and a battle is a battle.
No, no, no. It's a fight. You
You
know.
know what I mean? It's not about, if you want to be friendly, go cipher together, exchange
Exactly.
together.
Yeah.
But battle is not friendly.
That's why I said to Zoo at this exhibition that I'm not battling you. I'm gonna have an exchange because if I was battling you, like I would try and smash you. But I have so much respect for you, and also
Mhm,
you're a friend
mhm,
that for me, it's more of an opportunity to test, or to measure up like my approach to the dance
mhm,
against
mhm,
what you do. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And how you weaponize your breaking. If like I'm not really treating it as a battle because I'm not trying to smoke you. You know what
mhm.
I mean? I'm not trying to make you look bad. I want you to absolutely
Yep.
rock the spot, and then I
Mhm,
want that to bring the best out of me. So if I was to battle Thesis, like in a competition, yeah, I'm trying to win, but I have so much respect for this guy that it's more just like, okay, how can I have a conversation with you, and
mhm.
how does my style of breaking measure up against your approach, against your flow?
Well, people also don't know what conversation is. Like when I started out breaking, you respond to the move that your opponent did. So if you do power, I do my power. I show I can do your power, but in my way. And nowadays, the guys just throw out his set, the opponent throws out his set, and who is the winner now?
And who has
You
the
know?
better set? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know what I
Rather
mean?
than having
But
those.
then when you see fresh cats coming up who have fun, who do their thing, who maybe do not so difficult things, everybody goes crazy.
Exactly. Well, it's like a breath of fresh air. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It's a novelty, and that I spent a lot of time judging some of the biggest events in Europe
Hmm.
last year. I judged
Hmm.
IBE and Outbreak, World Battle, and so on and so forth. And the level, is incredible.
Yeah.
These guys are really pushing the boundaries and the limits of what you know. Once upon a time, we thought was physically
Uh,
unattainable.
impossible. Yeah.
But every now and then, so I cannot. obviously I have my preferences, right? As an artist, as a b-boy, and there's a you know a certain standard, if you like, of breaking nowadays, whereby it looks like people are just trying to tick certain boxes. You know
Like
what I mean?
follow the trends, right?
They're following certain trends, or they're 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 f- they're they're following a particular formula or method. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because
Jibber
this
jibber
method
jibber
is
jibber bam.
can allow you to enjoy some success in a competitive realm. And I understand that, and I cannot, even though it's not particularly my taste, I still respect the level of skill and ability. You know what I mean? Especially as I get older. I'm not like, I'm too old to how would I say it, cast aspersions, to bring down someone who is doing something incredibly well. They have reached a certain standard of excellence and
I mean,
expertise.
when you dance such a long time, you can acknowledge moves that are difficult,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
And
So
things that I couldn't do in my dreams.
I can give you respect for this even if you're
Yes,
not on the music now, or you know what I mean? But
exactly.
I give you respect for even doing this move, you know? So
Exactly. But sometimes I'm just dying to see someone who has
yeah,
an interesting take, you know what I mean? Someone who's a little bit more unorthodox or
yeah,
abstract.
yeah.
And so this is something which is very important for me. And so judging rather than competing in a lot of these events, every now and then one of these dancers will come along, you know what I mean? And that I mean, I'm always paying it. I try to be as professional as I possibly can be as a judge, but these people, they pull you in. You don't have to focus hard to really appreciate what they're
Yeah, yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
They bring you into
It's
their
like
realm. It's storytelling,
it's like I love to watch people who make me want to dance,
Exactly.
you know? So if I see you go down and I do like, then I'm already a fan, already a fan.
That's
When
right.
did you start to travel internationally? Did you first move out of Australia, or was it just a coincidence that you move out of Australia then?
So the first international event that I went to was Radical Force,
Ah,
back
nice.
when it was held in Singapore.
Hmm.
Um, I can't remember the exact. It was one of the earlier editions,
Okay.
right? So it
Before
wasn't their,
COVID.
long before COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is like phew, almost 20 years ago now.
Ah, okay, I
Because
see.
Radical Force, before it was Radical Force Jam, it was the Radical Force anniversary,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? It was their crew anniversary. I didn't go to the first anniversary. I don't know if it was like 10 years, but I think I went to like the 12th maybe. So it was like
Mm.
maybe the second or third ever Radical Force.
But why did you go there?
Well, the event was building a reputation for
Hmm.
for for being a dope event and
Hmm.
attracting international dancers. So you had good b-boys from around Asia,
Yeah.
but also, in particular Japan.
Hmm.
Um, and also it was easier to get to from
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
So Singapore, from Sydney to Singapore, it's this is a short flight for us to an international event is like 9 hours, 9-10 hours, and then you still got to put yourself up in a hotel. So that was like a closer international event, and still is to this day for Australian b-boys. And then once I started to, I went to Radical Force a few times, and once I started to build up a little bit of a reputation, I began to travel to America a bit.
Ah,
And I met Thesis actually at Radical Force. Um, and when he was still in Knuckleheads, I think he was trying to push for me to get into the crew.
mm.
And then, yeah, I went to America a few times, not like battling as Knuckleheads, but, just going to events. Went to the Knuckleheads anniversary, their 20th anniversary. It was a 3-on-3 and went there by myself. I met Tolfik at the event for the first time. And we were like, yo, he was there by himself, so we just did it. And we didn't win, but we had a really good day and made it to top four, lost to California, just the two of us in a 3-on-3.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, so did freestyle session, a bunch of these major battles, and just little by little kind of built up my reputation. Because this was after that video came out as well.
I see. Okay.
When I was traveling to America for a bit, and I didn't want to be like I didn't want my reputation to be based on a social media clip. I wanted to
Yes.
go. It's like, okay, I'm going to go out there and represent the right way.
Yes.
Entering
Bro, you
battles
have the
all over
best
the world.
mindset. I swear. You have such a nice mindset, bro.
So I would do weekend trips to the States because I was working full time, right? So I would fly to Los Angeles because there's direct flights from Sydney to LA. It's 15 hours. I would get there on a Thursday because of the time difference, battle Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, and leave the next day, and a couple of days later, be back at work. And I did this a bunch of times because I thought, okay, it's one of the best ways for me to build up my rep. I don't know. I was just that committed to trying to, you know, build my
So,
reputation
so
the right way.
what was your job back then?
Uh, Still is, but I'm not working full time in this
Uh-huh.
profession. Scientist, a medical researcher. So I have a PhD in like biochemistry.
So you're a
So
doctor.
a doctor, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've spent much more time as a like working on my skills as a b-boy, and I'm not a doctor of breaking. It's just a title that you get. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an academic.
So why did you choose this profession for you?
Because my father basically said if you don't study or get a full-time job, you're going to be kicked out of the house.
So you
Because I
started
was
studying.
so I thought, okay, what can I study that is related to breaking the human body?
Okay.
You know, so I started off studying human movement, like physical education, and then I did a master's in sports science, and then I did my PhD in physiology and biochemistry.
So if you work a day in your job, how does this day look like?
Well, back then I was working in a lab. Yeah, I was running experiments in a lab. Um, Testing the effect of certain chemicals in cells and isolating those cells and measuring the activity of certain enzymes and proteins and trying to understand their function.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
okay, doctor. Sorry.
No, no, no. Just Will is fine. But at the moment, I'm just, working several part-time jobs to, pay the bills. But my
That's
plan,
nice.
yeah, because medical research, scientific research in Australia, like a lot of places in the West, is a very challenging profession because there's not a lot of money in it. You
I
know?
mean, also not m many other countries, I think, acknowledge it, right? You have to restudy, no? Like, you know what I mean?
It depends, yeah. I mean, I guess it really depends on where you received your doctorate. I mean,
Yeah.
Australia, if you get a PhD in Australia, that's recognizable in just about every part of the world. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Because
I see.
uh,
Because,
the
for example, I used to work in McDonald's, right? And my boss, female boss, she came from Croatia to Switzerland.
Mhm.
And I asked her, what did you do before? And she was a physicist
Yeah, yeah.
in Croatia.
It
But
yeah,
but they didn't recognize her as that in Switzerland. She had to
exactly.
do a whole everything.
I think it's the same like if you have if you get a nursing degree, for example, in the Philippines,
Yeah,
it's not immediately recognizable in Australia, but you might not have to do the degree from scratch.
yeah,
Like you might just have to do a short like
yeah.
6 month
No, that's
course,
crazy. She told me
which yeah,
she has to do everything again, and then she started
yeah.
working at McDonald's, became a boss there. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, look, there's a lot of PhDs who got their PhD in Australia and are probably just Uber drivers, because the funding to stay in medical research, to stay as a scientist is so competitive and there's not enough of it. And,
that's fucked
it's a
up.
bit like in breaking. How many Red Bull BC1 All-Stars are there? You know,
That's fucked up.
10, right?
And for me, it's fun.
How many people are winning the biggest battles? I mean, it's a tiny, tiny minority.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's the 1%, right?
exactly. So it's
But,
highly competitive and
for
it's
me,
and it's a big talent pool as well.
that's very funny because I call myself Dr. Love.
Dr. Love,
So I'm a fake doctor.
why not? I mean, I'm a fake doctor as well.
Nah,
PhD. I'm
dude.
not a medical doctor, you see. My wife always jokes with me. She's like, "Oh, I've got this pain in my shoulder. You're a doctor. What's wrong with it?" It's like, I don't know. I've got pain
Yeah.
everywhere.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, I can't help
Ah,
myself. I ended up studying to learn more about, the human body and how I can be a better b-boy. And I'm in constant pain because I've just been
that's
scratching
nice.
myself for 26 years,
That's nice.
27 years. But yeah, so last year I was working more as a b-boy than, I was as anything else. I was
That's always good to
as
hear.
a
That's always good
scientist.
to hear. I
Yeah, and living in Europe has been an absolute blessing. I've had more opportunities than I ever could have imagined, and I don't take any of it for granted. It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's been a phenomenal ride, and I'm excited to go home to Australia because I really feel like I've been in quite a privileged position to be able to travel and compete and judge and have the opportunities that I got to enjoy. And most people in Australia don't have those opportunities. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? From, last year at Outbreak, there was an Australian team in the Rep Your Country, and there was about 7 or 8 guys, maybe
Mm-hmm.
give or take. And, a lot of those guys, they have to save up for 6 months just to get to that event, you know?
That's
And,
crazy.
and how many rounds are they going to do,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe
throughout the
only
week?
one prelim round, right?
For most of them, it's probably going to be a prelim because, the level of competition is insane.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
ever
yeah.
thought?
Outbreak is crazy.
So um, I've been fortunate enough to compete at these events, to be invited to compete, to fly myself, to judge them, to teach at the Youth as the Future camp, and on and on and on it goes. All of these opportunities to have exhibition battles with Zoo, and I've got so many experiences under my belt now, and I feel like I have a responsibility to take those experiences that I got to enjoy and put it back into the Australian breaking scene, which is
Mm-hmm.
where I started,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where my heart is at. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I think you know it's very cliche to say each one teach one, but there's a lot of truth to that phrase. And hip hop culture and breaking, you know, it's a gift that I genuinely believe God has given to me. So I have a responsibility now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that I give back
Mm-hmm.
because um, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, we, you know, a lot of the things that I do for selfish reasons, because I'm pursuing my own ambition. But one day I'm going to be dead, and one day people aren't going to care about, my name or whatever. My life is like a just a gust of wind. It's here now and it's gone like that, and people will forget. But if I have any kind of lasting legacy, it's that which I pass on to the next generation, so they
Yes,
can,
100%.
you know, take things to another level and then pass that on to subsequent generations, even if my name or contributions are long since forgotten. And I think, that's something that I can certainly be at peace with. So
Yeah,
it means, yeah,
I always say the the culture gave me everything, so now after the culture gave me everything I have, now it's my duty to give
duty, exactly,
now it's my duty to give everything back to the culture, you know.
exactly. And it's so rewarding to give back as well.
Oh, that's the best. That's I mean, when I used to teach and my student won a battle, I was more happy than when I won a battle, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
As we winding down and coming to
sure.
our Fave 5 category,
Yes,
I need to ask. I
yes,
need to ask. So after all that happened in the Olympics, right, with Reagan,
yes,
and now time has passed a little bit, and we are looking forward maybe in 32
Brisbane.
Australia hosts the Olympics, right? So now with time gone, do you think it left a bad reputation for Australian breakers still?
In the eyes of the public that are
Hmm.
outside of the breaking scene, I mean, again, I'm not in Australia, so I can only speak on what I've observed, you
Hmm.
know. But I think, and maybe this is a question better asked, for someone that is actually currently situated in Australia,
Okay.
because they have a WDSF event next weekend, right?
Yes.
They have one of their Breaking for Gold series events. So obviously, the reputation isn't so badly damaged that they can't host international
Okay.
high level breaking events. But I think the challenge, because, and again, I'm happy to be corrected on this, but every every Olympic Games they typically introduce a couple of new sports, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I think I don't know if they introduce every additional new sport, but there is always something new.
Yes.
I
So
think
so
also.
it was already announced that the next Olympic Games is going to be in Los Angeles, right?
Yes, and they already announced breaking is not a part of it
Yeah,
before breaking has even happened.
exactly. So a lot of the claims that what happened with Raygun, prevented breaking
Yeah,
from
yeah,
this
this all
practice,
bullshit.
that's
Yeah, this all
false, right?
bullshit.
So
Yeah.
so I think in the end they went with like flag football or something
Cricket.
uh, for Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Cricket.
yeah. My
Okay.
explanation was this. What somebody told me. when you go to a sports center to buy sports goods, there is a football section, there is a tennis section, there is a cricket section, but there is no breaking section.
No, there's no breaking section. Yeah. And I don't know if I would feel comfortable if there was a breaking section, to be honest. Like it would kind of
I
just
mean, nowadays you could build one.
create
We
too
have
many
we have so
stereotypes.
many
Yeah.
clothes, we have so many spin caps, we have
True.
everything nowadays.
Yeah. The little massage balls
Yeah.
shaped like a dumbbell.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, to go back to your original
yes.
question, so, I think it's going to be a challenge to get breaking back into the Olympics because you have to overcome a stereotype that now exists,
Hmm.
right? Regardless, like people are obviously going to point the finger left, right, and center, but at the end of the day, you can't control the public reaction,
Okay, yeah.
right? And especially when it's coming from a public that don't fully understand the nuances and
Yes, yes,
intricacies of a
100%.
highly complicated art form. Okay,
Hmm.
now there are other conversations that could be had about was Australia as well prepared as it could have been for the Olympics? Maybe it was rushed a little bit, and frankly, it's all in the past as far as I'm concerned. And you can split hairs over these particular talking points, but at the end of the day, I think it's irrelevant now. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
because I saw Rachel recently,
Hmm.
and I have to give her massive props. She went to an event in Taiwan.
Hmm.
Uh, and she battled in a 4-on-4. She got down with J Attack, Benamex,
Hmm.
and another cat from Australia called Louis, and then she did Taipei B-Boy City, and so she's putting herself out there, right?
Okay.
And that takes a lot of courage
Hmm.
in order to do that, especially when you've been ridiculed by the entire world.
Hmm.
So I have to give her props for
Hmm.
the courage that she's now showing because I think most people in her situation would just hide
Hmm.
for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? Because why would you
But
want to?
that's not the answer, right?
No, but that's not the answer,
Yeah.
and so I think that's a good thing at the end of the day because it means that she, it's a collective effort. I
Hmm.
think the Australian breaking scene has a responsibility now to represent the art form and the for some people
Hmm.
the sport. I have my ideas on whether or not it should be called a sport, but that's another conversation. But I think we have to elevate the standards overall and really strive for excellence
Hmm.
and not be complacent.
Yeah,
And sometimes
people forget Olympics is not the best of the best because if it's the best of the best in the top 16 would have been 10 Japanese big girls,
exactly
you know?
Australia would have been there,
Yes.
because like this is no disrespect to any Australian dancers, but like they weren't winning the breaking for gold events. They weren't on the podium. They were struggling to get past top 16.
Mhm.
Because the level is just insane. So there's that. But to go back to your original question, I think um, regardless of, you know, what happened, I think the Australian scene has to shake off this bubble mentality and kill off any form of complacency.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that means striving for excellence and not using the fact that Australia is so far away from the rest of the world as an excuse.
Mhm.
Because you look at like the Russian b-boys were told that they couldn't compete at a whole bunch of events, around 2020, 2021. And so
Mhm.
they all just got together and battled each other. And
They
then
made their own. It's even crazier.
now
The
they've been unleashed and they're just psychopaths. You know
bro.
what I mean? So, and sometimes what I tell some Australian dancers is that, do you think you have less opportunities than dancers in Pakistan? You know what I mean? Or most of Africa?
Yeah,
No, we have far more opportunities. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's far
yeah.
from perfect, but you have to focus on what you've got.
So
So,
since
yeah,
you didn't live anymore in Australia, you didn't had so much confrontation with this.
confrontation?
Like people didn't came to you like, hey, you're Australian, and because I mean,
No, no. I mean, look, I've had idiots like just trolls on some of my Instagram
okay,
posts, but I don't really care about that. Like that's
yeah,
kind of funny. I get that from b-boys sometimes as well.
yeah, yeah,
People call me trash, and
yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Like that
But I
doesn't
mean,
bother
I
me.
guess what I want to ask is, since you didn't live anymore in Australia, you didn't get to feel that aftermath so deeply, like if you would
Not
live in
not
Australia, right?
not deeply, but I still felt it because I'm Australian.
Yes,
And I have pride in where I'm from.
yes, yes,
You know
yes.
what I mean? And I represent Australia. I could have entered the Austrian Red Bull qualifier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I wanted to, because I'm a
Hmm.
resident here, I have a
Yeah.
residency card, you
Hmm.
know. So I was eligible to, if for example I won the Austrian Cypher, easier said than done, but just hypothetically, then I would go to the Last Chance Cypher and have a little Austrian flag next
And
to my
that's
name.
nine. This is
And look, Zoo, Wolfer, these guys like that's what they should be doing because you know what I mean. I don't even think Morocco has a qualifier,
no,
but
no. They had.
yeah, but
Both
I
of them won
understand
them.
why people do that. But you know, Zoo entering under
Yeah,
the
for you,
Austrian
it's a
flag,
completely different scenario.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
completely different
No
scenario.
one is questioning whether or not he's Moroccan. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So, and I think what like the fact that they've had so much success is incredible. And I like it's a different situation to
I
guys like
think
that.
I think if
For
you have entered with Austria, with you will be in the last chance with Austria, nobody would question it, like because you
No,
look like an
no, but
Austrian.
it's for me, it's just a personal thing. You know,
Of
like
course, 100%, bro.
Nord Diamond, like we all know he's Russian, but he entered
With
the
Germany, yes.
German one.
Yeah.
He lost, but you know, he would have gone under Germany, and that like I respect that. Like, do what you got to do to have those opportunities. But for me, it
Yeah.
was a personal thing. So I represent my country with pride. You know,
Mhm.
not pride in the sense that like it's egotistical. This is where I'm from. This is where
So,
I,
but you knew her personally before it happened.
Oh yeah,
Ah,
I've known
okay, okay.
Rachel for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So now they have to overcome this public stereotype because I think it's going to be challenging to try and attract funding support. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of money in breaking in Australia. I was talking about no money in science. There's less money in breaking, you know. And where are we seeing so much success right now in different parts of the world? China, Russia, Japan, for example. And there's a lot of investment
Yes,
into
100%.
youth
The
and
government. Yeah, yeah.
exactly training, coaching, um, mentorship, various development programs, events. You know what I mean? So that's what you need, those resources to kind of
Yeah.
contribute to the overall leveling up, right? We don't have that in Australia, and we probably never will. But the thing is, we've never had it.
Hmm.
So if they want to get breaking into the Olympics in Australia, I think it's going to take a lot of effort to overcome the stereotype that
Hmm.
was created because of what happened in Paris, for better
Yeah.
or for worse.
Hmm.
And that will take a collective effort. You can't say, "Oh, Rachel has to do this and that." It means
No, no.
everyone
Definitely,
has
it's
to
not
contribute.
about it's not about her anymore.
No, no, it's about the entire breaking
Yes.
scene because there is no one person that is responsible for shifting the public perception of breaking in Australia and elevating the standards.
Mhm.
It has to be done collectively. But also you need people who are in positions of leadership, for example,
Yeah.
to really model the best behavior.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, but for me, it's always been very, very simple.
Hmm.
Just train hard, you know what I mean? Don't make
It's
excuses.
it's it's
Don't
common sense, right?
don't be a bitch. You know what I mean? And just work hard at what
Hmm.
what you're capable of doing, and try and uplift other people in the
Hmm.
process.
Hmm.
And it's just really simple things. So
Yeah.
let's see how it goes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I'm optimistic, but at the end of the
Mhm.
day, like breaking has survived and thrived
Yeah, yeah,
regardless.
we'll survive more and more shit. I mean, I had her on the show before the Olympics,
Yes, yes, you
and,
did. Yeah,
and we had an amazing conversation. And even her
yeah,
husband was a really cool
Sam.
guy and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So
Cool people, man.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
we're coming now to the Fave Five, right? Where we talk about your favorite five things. Yes. So first, we always start classic with the B-Boys. So your favorite five B-Boys all time in no particular order, just five names.
B-boys.
Yes.
Okay. Um, well, thesis, absolutely. Ken Swift.
The Prince.
Man, this is tricky. I mean, I have to give the most credit to guys that inspire. I mean, Roland
Ooh,
from
Roland
Memphis.
Blunts,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, Battleborn.
My God,
Um,
Roland.
yeah. I mean, look, I understand there's obviously some controversy, but I have to give credit where credit is due. K-Mel was always one of my favorites, man.
Bro,
You know?
forever. He's our MJ.
Yeah. For me, like, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Um, number five, yeah, man, I'm just gonna say Dusk. That's my guy.
No, Dusky. He's
Yeah,
also
Dusky
he's
Dusk.
also Such a nice, his heart is so pure. He's
Yeah.
such a nice guy.
So, and then, like him and Thesis are the two kind of
Nice,
modern day, like they're still young and they're still ripping it, you know what I mean?
nice, nice, nice.
Yeah,
He's a nice
Roland,
list.
Kay, and Kenny. But I got to give props to Easy Rock, you know, and I got to give props to Shao from Wasita Breakers.
Ooh, yes,
He
because
actually entered freestyle session. What number was it? I can't remember. 2002 with Havakora.
oh, really?
Yeah, and he
Ah,
battled Yamato, which I think had some members from Wasita. It was
nice. Yeah, 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 yeah. I watched the VHS, of course, but it's like you say, 2002. Mango, 24 years. Oh. Uh, your favorite five big girls?
B girls. Oh, Asia One.
Mm?
Um, Cody from Circle of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got a lot of actually, man. I mean, if I'm talking about Circle of Fire, I got to give my props to Originality Stands Alone as well. Rob Zilla, Stunts,
Yeah,
Midas, all
yeah,
of those
yeah.
guys. But yeah, Asia One, Cody. Um, hmm. Of all time,
Yes.
man, that's tricky. I mean, right
I mean,
now, Nika,
I mean, you don't
Lithuania.
have to pick five. If you don't
Yeah.
have five, it's okay.
I mean, yeah, Nika from Lithuania. She's having spent a little bit of time with her in Portugal, just training with her, like
Hmm.
kind of seeing her approach and her insight. Like
She's hungry, huh?
she's so hungry. Like I don't know, just a level of dedication that I haven't, seen in a long time.
Hmm.
Um, Man, two more. Abby Girl,
Ooh.
yeah, from I think she was in Massive Monkeys.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think
and
so too, yeah.
Ayumi,
Irony.
first B girl to
To go BC1, yeah.
to go to BC1 before there was a B girl category,
Yeah,
and she almost won a battle against
yeah,
Kill,
yeah.
and then she won Outbreak with Thesis, and that
I
was
mean,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say, with she won with thesis to 2-on-2s, and she
Yeah.
had one of the best rounds in Outbreak USA.
Yes. 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 She did.
She
So,
killed it. I think she battled with Katsuki Rock.
yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Bodycon.
man,
Yeah.
crazy.
So I mean, I could think of others, but they're
Of
just a
course,
few
that's
that
why we
come to mind.
only pick five, right?
Yeah.
Your favorite five battles that you battled?
My favorite five battles that I battled in.
I mean, you have already mentioned a couple, right? The ones you won with your raw crew and things like that, but I don't know if you want to put them in the five, you know?
Yeah. I mean, most recently when I was battling with some guys from Australia and Taiwan, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't win, but yeah, this it was an event run by Quake's Crew City 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at the end of last year. Um, Entering with Knuckleheads with Thesis, I
Mm-hmm.
had this is another story for another day, but I had 10 stitches in my head.
Okay.
I smashed my head open earlier that morning, kind of knocked myself out, and then I had to go to hospital. Thesis took me to the hospital. They put 10 stitches in my head, and then we went straight to the event. And we battled, and we didn't win. We lost in the semis, and I was like bleeding on the floor
I'm
with
sorry,
one
sir. Are you crazy or are you stupid?
There's some, yeah, both maybe, probably the latter. Yeah, no, I didn't sleep that night because we had so many people in our hotel room. One guy was snoring, and I woke up in the morning and turned on the steam in the shower and started breaking in the bathroom. And I slipped doing a corkscrew
Bruh,
and went
what
head first into like the corner of the wall, made this huge noise. And I've got photos, there was blood everywhere because, I totally cracked my
what
head
what
open.
event was that?
Rock City, which is organized by Little Rock.
Ah,
Um,
in
and
the
yeah,
state.
so Thesis took me to a hospital, I think in
That's
like
crazy.
um, it was like in the ghetto. I can't remember the name. It
You
wasn't
literally broke your
this was
head before you got
Inglewood. Yeah, it
breakdancing.
was Inglewood in Los Angeles. They stitched me up, and then they said, "Look, you've concussed," because I was just like, ugh. And we went straight to the event. And it was funny because it was a 5-on-5, and we had one less person. And so we had to decide like whoever goes out first will probably take the last round. And I was so hammered that in one of the battles I accidentally went out first.
No.
Anyway, that was pretty funny. I was
Nice.
vomiting as well because I was so concussed. So there's that one, number two. Maybe
Eh.
that can be like that. That's like two, three, four, and five. Um, yeah, but I mean, I'd have to think of like some battles in Europe. There's been some incredible ones.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, come back to me in a moment because
Okay.
there's just been so many, especially like I did World Breaking Classic with Dusk.
Mhm.
Again, we didn't win, but
I mean,
this was
it's
such a
about the fun, right? It's
the
about
vibe that we had with one
expressing
another.
together.
Yeah. And then Shadow Wars back in the day,
Hmm.
especially winning the first one with my crew Raw. That's
Hmm.
definitely a
Hmm.
highlight. Um, and then I would say Po One's birthday, his 40th birthday jam
Oh,
in
he
Sydney.
he danced 40 rounds, right?
No, he didn't. He was just organizing this event.
Aha.
This was a small event, but I won that. And I
Ah,
remember
nice.
I had, Poe's a teacher of mine, and I was so happy to win his jam. And
Of
that
course.
was, I haven't won a lot of solo battles in my life, and that was a significant one for me. So that's just a few. I mean, if
Nice,
I
nice.
think hard enough about it,
It's a nice selection. It's a
yeah.
nice selection. So we continue now. We're gonna build the perfect breakup, right?
Mhm.
So we have, of course, the normal elements, top rock, footwork, power, freezes, but we're gonna add flavor and fashion. Okay?
Okay.
So top rocks. This is Willastr8's perfect breakup, right? There is no right answer or wrong answer. Who has the perfect top rocks for you, sir?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think there's anything. There's no such thing as perfection in
Hmm.
breaking. You know what I mean? Which makes breaking so special. But top rocks that I like, man, I love the way that Dusk dances on top
Dusk
rocks.
is very nice top rocks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Dusk or Cloud.
Let's take Dusk. Let's take Dusk.
Okay, we'll take Dusk. But like Cloud and Dusk are like completely different
Yes.
top rockers.
Yeah. 100%.
I think a
100%.
special shout out goes to that French B girl from Bad Trip. She was at Outbreak last year.
Ah, with the goggles, maybe?
I
With
believe so.
the Kangol? I don't know
And
if she's
I
French.
can't believe my memory is so bad today.
I
She
don't
made
know.
like top eight.
Maybe I have another one. Doesn't matter.
Anyway,
So we
Dusk.
continue. Footwork.
Robin, and then Robin or Intact. I'll say Robin, but Intact's footwork is amazing.
Footwork. Like we said, there is no wrong answer, right? Paw moves.
Ivan.
Oof. I had did the podcast with Kujo, and Kujo told me he and Ivan used to practice together in his garage who can do first two airflare.
Really.
Can you imagine, bro?
Cujo had
Kujo and
those
Ivan together and
crazy tracks. Yeah.
and they going at each other who does it first. Can
Just
you
two
imagine?
monsters. Yeah.
93 or something,
You can
94.
only imagine, like, I wonder if there's even footage of that. They
Nah,
probably
no
have like
chance.
an old camcorder that they set up.
Bro,
Oh,
that
those
would be
pictures.
gold. That would be gold. Freezes.
Rock's right.
Woo! He definitely rocks right. At the beginning, I didn't understand him. But then when I got older and I see more of him, then I knew, okay, this guy is a motherfucker.
Hmm.
Uh, Flavor.
Flavor. No, I'll say thesis.
Hmm? And last but not least, fashion. How should he or she be dressed?
Hmm. I mean, Rico. Grimson's always dressed fresh.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
So, the perfect breaker, according to Dr. Willastr8, yeah. As the Topics of Dusk, the footwork of Robin, the power move of Ivan, the fruits of Roxride, the flavor of Thesis, and he's dressed like Grimson.
It's not bad.
Killer.
Grimson's.
And,
I mean, Rico's always wearing Carhartt. I'm a bit of a Carhartt guy. So
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's always rocking Jason Carhartt. always.
Yes, and he
I
has his
sometimes
shoes are never dirty. You know
I'm
what I mean?
because he always has the new ones, you know?
He
And
never stops.
I asked him so many times, how? Where do you get them from? And he says all his friends when he grew up, now they're old, they have all connections with sneakers.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
he's got the contacts.
Guess have to be lucky, right? So, and the last thing for today, the UFOs, UFO, aliens, they come, they see you.
Hmm.
They say, uh-huh, Willastr8, you do breaking, huh? What is this? So, which battle do you show the aliens to explain to them
What
what
break?
is breaking?
Um, Crumbs and Remind versus Little John and Moy at Lords of the Floor.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. Can you see it with the camera?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest battles that I've ever seen in my life.
That's a really nice choice. That's a
Yeah,
really nice. When I saw this, it's the first
that
battle in
was
the
the
top 16.
first. I think that was the first Lords of the Floor. Yeah,
Yeah, 2001. And they meet in the
2001
top 16. Come on,
straight
this
away.
this
Yeah,
could be the final, you know?
yeah, yeah. And Crumbs had that iconic round where he did like his legs were in like a diamond
Yeah,
shape,
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my
start to
God.
finish. Yeah,
Oh my God. He
kick
had so many
everything,
iconic moves in there. So many.
flares. Yeah, high
Crazy,
low, boom boom, finish in the freeze. Yeah,
crazy, crazy. So now the aliens watch the battle and now they can dance. Yeah, because they are aliens. And they say, Will, we're gonna take over the world, but you can save the world. Yeah. We're gonna do a 5-on-5 battle, and you have to choose the five best Australian breakers of all time in their prime.
okay,
Who do you choose?
okay. Five best in their prime. Okay, I'm gonna take Exit and C's, the twins.
What's the name again? Sorry.
Exit and
Exit, yes.
C's
C's.
and C's. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna take Pepito.
Hmm.
I'll take. I mean, these are guys that. Well, Pepito's still very active.
I
I'll
mean,
take
we
Lama
take
Rock.
them in their prime, right?
Lama Rock.
Lama Rock.
Yeah. And then the fifth. Hmm.
I mean, Will, you can also take yourself, right?
No, no, I can't take myself. Um, Ippy.
How is the name?
Ippy.
Ippy.
Yeah. But then, there's other guys that I would mention.
Of course, of course. Australia
Obvious.
didn't only have five breakers, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of
But
guys that would easily put them in there
Mhm,
instead of someone else.
mhm. So
Um,
unfortunately, I'm not really familiar with the names, but you're the Australian, you know better than me. So I guess aliens, go back to your planet.
go back to where you came from. Yeah, of
You know, Fongo, you know him?
course I do. And I
I
would
love,
Fongo.
I,
Fongo's a legend. I would put him in the mix as
bro,
one of the
I
greatest.
saw him in Slovenia with Jay.
When Jeff was still very young. Well, he is still very young, even younger. Yeah,
Bro, I laugh so much because of this
yeah.
guy,
He's such a
because
character.
he's so entertaining.
He is. Fongo, I have to give a lot of respect to as well. Yeah,
When
he's
he
one of
did
the
the head
guys
spin
that
and he took out the
underpants.
panties,
Yeah.
bro,
Like about 15 years ago, maybe even longer, Fongo released two YouTube videos of him doing every conceivable variation of windmills. And each video went for like 20 minutes. It was just 40 minutes of windmill variations. And to this day, I've tried to find the footage. I'm going to have to ask him for it.
yeah,
That
please.
guy, you know, his power move foundation is some of the best I've ever seen.
No, and it's really clean, you know, it's really nice.
Yeah,
The technique is really good.
yeah. No, Fongo's a
Oh my God,
legend. And I
Hero
can't
just
wait to see
uploaded the
it.
video, 60 windmills,
Yeah, I think I saw that. I mean, that's incredible, but I'm
but he
quite
does,
certain that Fongo would have done more. Yeah.
he did, but I must say, I love Hero, but he also did like five Munchmill variations.
Okay.
So that's not windmill anymore, right?
Well, I
But yeah,
can reply in multiple
this is
variations. I can't
complaining.
disrespect it.
This is complaining on the highest level, right?
Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for taking your time. I had an
No, my
amazing
pleasure.
time.
I hope it was okay.
I know we could go on for 3 more hours,
Oh
but
yeah, got
life
lots
is
of stories, but you know,
life is calling, and
indeed.
for sure we can do a part two if you're down.
Yeah, sure. If you like, I
Yes,
can tell you some more
hopefully
pretty
my
funny stories.
my plan is to do with all the people I like on video, and then the second part I want to do uh, live, like in the same room.
For
So
sure.
that's my goal. Let's see if we can
And
do it
let's see if we can make something
when you're
happen.
still in Austria. Any last words and shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, just appreciate you having me. No one that I want to shout out in particular because if I name one person, I have to name 100 others.
Oh, everybody
But
yeah.
yeah, but just keep on rocking. And yeah, I'm just forever grateful for these opportunities, and I take nothing for granted. And yeah, just all I can say is, if you're gonna do something, do it to the best of your ability because um, you know, we come and we go in this world, and you want to make sure that you don't have a single regret when your time comes. And yeah, there's something very powerful about this art form and this culture, and I think we have to cherish every moment because one day, things can be taken from us. So
Mhm,
just do it to the fullest.
mhm. Very nice. Thank you,
That's about
brother.
it. My
For all
pleasure.
the viewers and listeners, yes, subscribe now. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Yes,
Oh,
comment who you want to see next. I can already say, because we're already in February now, next month, March, is Women's Month, right?
see, okay.
So we only
Big
have
girls.
B-girls on the show.
Okay.
4 B-girls
You already got them lined up?
already.
Okay.
Already. If when this comes out, it's already recorded.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yes. So shout out to all the women.
Shout outs to the
Uh,
big girls.
Notification on. You never miss a video. Every Sunday, your favorite breaking show. Every Thursday, your favorite breaking news with your favorite BBoy host and Sir Swifty. You never miss anything. GTV, your number one source for knowledge. And if you want to show full support, you go now to Patreon. You can support us €5 each month. It's like you buy me a coffee each month, right? And then we can build more and more communities. We start more giveaways and more special things. And also, if you're now a Patreon, you get all the podcasts in advantage. So when it's the first March, you get all 4 women podcasts already, and you don't have to wait like all the others, right? Become a patron. Now, shout out to Bottega Prama. You can get this wonderful beanie too. GTV 10% discount. And that was your favorite BBoy host with your favorite breaking show. Peace.